Hey there, it's Julie Hutchison here from Think, Be, Do Leadership. Nearly forgot where I was from then. It's day 25 of Communication Fest, and this is 30 days of hints and tips on how to improve your communication and your impact in your business, in your life, with really clear practical tips on what you can do and how you need to think about communication and your impact. So today it's day 25, and we are talking about Pokey Conversations, pokey ones, you know the ones. As I said in the little blurb before, was blame is a funny old thing. Sometimes our first reaction to like a question is like a genuine question. He's just like, "Oh, it wasn't me. It wasn't my fault." And we feel defensive because we feel like people are blaming us, and we have what we call a preemptive response, or in my old policing days, it was called a preemptive strike, which is where you hit somebody first before because you think they're going to hit you, which is a bit like this, isn't it? This pokey conversation about like, well, I'm gonna give it out. I'm gonna blame, and I'm gonna push that away from myself. So when people feel like they're being accused or they're going to be attacked in their mind or in their eyes, then they are more likely to defend themselves. So they come out with this preemptive response. But why do people feel so blamed? Why is this? When sometimes it might be a completely genuine, like, oh, I don't know, where did the bin go or something like that? Is that maybe it's a product of culturally pokey conversations. That's what I mean. So what I mean is that the way in which we put things across, not maybe this time, but over time, then if we have a blame culture in an organization or in our family or whatever it might be, then we feel blamed and we are expecting that, then we're going to defend ourselves. And so we feel that somebody's looking for the culprit, or we then tend to look for the culprit because that's how we feel, that's what we do. And we end up with people avoiding talking about things, hiding from responsibility, avoiding that, and trying anything, doing anything to get rid of their blame, which is not good for a team. It's not good for productivity. It's not good for you. It's not good for anybody, families, who name it. Because if we spend all of our time hiding from responsibility because we don't want to get it in the neck, even if that's imagined, then we aren't going to step up, are we? We're not going to do the thing that we most want to do. We're not going to take risks. We're not going to do anything. So what I want to talk about is that blame culture and pokey conversations, essentially, because I think it's really important that if we recognize when we have pokey conversations, or when that is a culture, we can change it, can't we? And that's super important. So if you're listening live, let me know and say hello. And if you are on replay, if you have a comment, please do pop a comment in there and we can reply to you. So it's dark at the moment. Can you see I've got my different camera on today, and it's a bit weird. I feel a bit strange, like I'm all close up. Anyway, so pokey conversations, the ones where you feel that somebody is doing this and you're like, I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to get the blame because this is the way it goes. And so I remember when I was a police officer and we used to have a meeting, I shan't say which one it was, where everybody was meant to come and get updated by the intelligence unit around some information. But because it was such a blame culture at the time, that what happened was that everybody that was going to attend the meeting to be updated used to spend an hour updating themselves on the computer before they went to the meeting to get updated, which meant that, I don't know, maybe 15 people spent an hour of their time getting updated on something that they were there to get updated for. So 15 hours times 15 times hour plus the hour that everybody was in this. So there's another 15 times an hour, really. So that's 30 hours of work for what essentially didn't really need to be done. And so that was all a product of not wanting to be poked, be blamed, be made to look silly, be made to feel bad, and all those things. And that was a direct response because people had an experience and a culture of somebody would say, oh, you didn't know that, or you should have known that, or how dare you not know, when in actual fact they shouldn't have necessarily known. Okay, it's just an example. But what it is, though, is if you've got conversations where you are looking, or somebody's looking to you or anybody else in your team or life, looking for the culprit all the time, looking to blame somebody all the time, looking for there to be a reason of blame. Let's say, somebody did something wrong, or there's a really reason why it happened, or it wasn't just a genuine mistake, or or even nothing wrong. When we're looking for it and we're expecting it, then we are going to have that impact on people, that people feel bad. So I really want us to think about really the impact that we are having, and you are having, and I'm having on people if we use Pokey. So what I mean, you're probably thinking, well, she keep talking about Pokey, but what I mean is, if you say you did or you are, you're allocating a blame to that. You're giving them a label of you are a pain in the bum, or you are annoying, or you are whatever it is you are. Yeah. Whereas if we change that language and start to say, look, when this happened, this is how I felt. So I don't know now. When I came downstairs and all the washing was out, washing up was still out, I felt disappointed and upset because I felt like I had to do it all and I felt a pressure. Then it's less blaming than saying you didn't do the washing up last night, for example. Great example, hey? So what I mean is instead of saying you are and labeling somebody, or looking for a blame and looking for a label, is to explain things of how you feel or what you want to get across in terms of the impact of you, and in terms of very specifically what the fact is, rather than the label of what the person is. And we call that like a bin model of taking away Pokey Conversations. But I wanted to look at it from this feeling like we're always blamed all the time, because if we can change it and start saying, when for example, when I have to when I come to the meeting, this meeting I'm going to talk about now, when I come to the meeting and I am criticised for not knowing the answer to something that I'm about to be updated with, it makes me feel like I need to go and check before I come to the meeting. And that isn't productive. So I would rather we did it differently. Can we please accept that we aren't going to know the answer to everything? For example. Yeah. Might sound unusual to say that, but in that situation, explaining that that's the thing. So basically naming it, the elephant in the room, but naming it in a way that's factual and not blaming, and labeling the impact of us on it, makes a big difference, because people don't feel so blamed. But also this culture and an expectation that there is somebody to blame, there is somebody's fault. I've gone out of focus. Hang on. Then we need to change that as well, because sometimes there isn't anybody's fault. And even if there was somebody's fault, does it really matter? What's the really important part of this conversation is not whether we can blame somebody or we can hook that onto somebody. It's like, well, what needs to happen? How do we stop it from happening again? Or what do we need to do to put it right? Sometimes it doesn't really matter. It's like kids, when kids say, like, oh, well, I didn't, like, I don't know, let's think about it. The books fell off the shelf. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. Oh, and it's like, actually, it doesn't matter. The books fell off the shelf. Sometimes things happen. And maybe in business, we need to think about that. Actually, sometimes there isn't a blame, or we don't need to find a blame or a culprit. We don't need that culture. What we need is a culture of just getting on with it and accepting that things happen. And accepting that really what we're looking for is to move forward and to just accept that people make mistakes and or that things go wrong, rather than always looking for blame. And in the media nowadays, something happens and it's always like, who should we blame, or which political party now is blameworthy of the thing, or which person who's in a role. And sometimes it isn't that, it's just situation and circumstance. So two things: we need to be able to talk about things differently, less pokey, but we need to think about them differently, less pokey, as in, like, do I really need to find the blame? Do I need to do that? And if it really isn't necessary, honestly, then don't do it, because it breeds scared people. It breeds people who don't take risks. It breeds people who hide from taking that extra step. And in your business, if you think about it, you don't want people who won't take risks. You don't want people who won't try and test and fail, and what they call fail forward, don't we? We're always talking about that. It breeds people who are scared to, in their eyes, fail, because fail means blame. Whereas if we stop blaming people, then we're going to be much more interested in trying it out, testing the situation, having a go. And that's what we want to foster, that much more open nature of, it's okay, I'm not going to blame you, I'm going to support you as a leader, I'm not going to sit there and blame you. Okay, obviously, if it's something really bad and they've killed your pet or something like that, then you might have something to say. No, but what I mean is we need to change the way we think about it. We need to change the words that we use, and we need to change the way that we build a culture in our business of blame or acceptance of risk, failure, and moving on. Okay, if that's been useful to you, then give me a shout, message me if you want some more information about how you can implement these communication tips in your business. And if you are a leader in a business, then talk to us about our Leaders Launchpad, because this is where you're going to implement all of these strategies and many, many more to grow you, grow your team, and grow your business. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.